Not all properties are winners. Look, trust me, after interviewing over 127 Kiwi property investors who collectively have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on property, I've heard both the highs and the horror stories of those who went in blind thinking that property is going to make them rich, and then it didn't turn out that way. And from all of those investors, I've learned the 7 most common signs that your property won't make you money. So in today's video, we're going to count down those 7 signs from the bad to the really bad and how you can steer clear of those traps. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ed, an economist and property investor at Opus Partners. And the 7th best sign that your property won't make money are properties in micro towns. Now, some properties look great on paper. They've got a really cheap purchase price and then a really great rental return. And you think, wow, this property is going to be a cash cow. And this often happens when you live in a part of the country where house prices are a bit more expensive, like Auckland or Wellington, and then you go on Trade Me and you look at a place on the West Coast where, some months the average house on the West Coast sells for just $330,000, which is less than a third of what it is in Auckland. So you buy the house, and while it does get a good rent compared to the house value, the rent's still pretty low while your costs might be quite high. So it takes about 8.5 weeks of rent to just pay the local council rates in different parts of the West Coast. Compare that to just 3.5 weeks worth of rent in a more expensive area like Upper Hutt. Or the other thing I see is, what if the roof starts leaking? Well, it probably costs you 25 grand to replace a roof, whether it's in Auckland or the West Coast, maybe a bit more in Auckland. But if it costs you 25 grand to fix the roof of a house that's worth 250 grand, well, that's 10% of your house value. And it's going to take a few years for that property to make you that money back. And that actually happens in a lot of small towns. The maintenance is expensive compared to the value of the house, and so those properties have a lot of deferred maintenance where people haven't replaced the roof, because it probably makes sense to spend 25 grand replacing the roof of $1 million property, but not as much sense to spend the same amount of money replacing the roof of a 250k property. So sometimes you see properties, especially in small towns, with, yes, a high rent compared to the purchase price, what investors call the gross yield, but then they come with these high expenses either today or in the future. But just before we get to sign number 6, if you own or want to own an investment property, you need to grab your free Opus Plus account. This is the tool that I created for this community on the channel, so you can run the numbers on any property in New Zealand to see if it's a good investment or not. The link is down in the description. Now, the 6th most common sign that your property won't make money is if it's got high hidden costs. So I've looked at a couple of properties before in this apartment block, and this agent was right to call the property a shimmering hallucination because you would have to be high to buy it. Although you might be able to get $750 to $850 a week in rent, the body corp fees are over $580 a week. That is really close to 30 grand a year. So it is no wonder that this property lost $433,000 or 75% of its value over 15 years, even while the overall Auckland property market went up in value by over 210% in the same time frame. Body corp fees, they are meant to cover insurance, long-term maintenance, and they sometimes can be very reasonable. But in this case, it was a leasehold property. So you didn't own the land underneath your apartment, and you've got to keep paying ground rent. Now, a lot of you will disagree with the 5th most common sign your property's not going to make money, but I am sticking to my guns because I have seen it too many times. A classic way to lose money in property is to rent your investments out to your mates. Now, you might look at your friend and think, I'll rent to them because they need a place to stay and I know them. Surely they're going to pay the rent because we are friends. Well, I recently had Warren on the Property Academy podcast, and he actually found the opposite. So he was renting out a place to one of his friends. He'd known them for like 5 years, and that was all going well. And so Warren decides to buy another rental. Now, the bank says to him, yep, Warren, we'll give you the money to go and buy your next investment property. We reckon you can afford the mortgage, but we do need you to go get a valuation on your investment property first. So he calls up a valuer, he sends them around to the rental property, and all of this is very normal up to this point, until his mate asks the valuer, well, what's he getting it valued for? And the valuer said, well, I think maybe Warren's looking for another house. Maybe he wants to buy another house. And what shouldn't be normal, but sometimes is that Warren's mates decide that, well, Warren must have lots of money if he's buying another rental property. So they stopped paying the rent. And while you might think, but I know my mates, surely they're going to pay the rent. Well, it also goes the opposite way. Sometimes they think, well, I know Warren. He's not going to kick me out if I'm a bit late on my rent. Surely that's okay. Because your mates only really see the rent that they're paying you. What they don't see is all of the costs that you as the investor have to pay, like the rates, maintenance, mortgage, the insurance. And this also happens when you do mates rates. So let's say you rent a property to your friend and you want to give them a deal. So you rent it to them, but maybe $50 a week below the market rent. And you think, look, I'll help them out a bit for a while. Fast forward 3, 4, 5 years, you've felt too bad to put the rent up. Meanwhile, all of your costs are up and you're now subsidizing their lifestyle while your property slips further and further behind the market. And I know that it sounds really brutal, but never rent to friends, because renting out a property, that is a business relationship. But while the fifth sign that your property won't make money was controversial, the stats don't lie when it comes to the fourth sign, which is buying apartments thinking that they are going to skyrocket in value. I mean, we're often told that property doubles in value every 10 years, but not all properties go up in value, even in a hot market. And not just because there's something wrong with the property. At Opus Partners, we talk to about 60 couples or single investors every single week. And I recently met an investor who bought an apartment, that was back in 2015, and they spent $550,000 on that apartment. Now, it wasn't leasehold, no large body corporate, none of those classic red flags we've already covered. But 10 years later, it had lost $100K worth of value, while the average property in the city was up 55%. And often investors make the mistake that they assume that every property goes up in value and that they all go up roughly at the same rate. And that's not true. Apartments do not go up in value as fast as houses and townhouses. Now, that doesn't mean they're all bad investments. I own one that's actually gone up in value by over 100K. But you need to look for the right signs that your house will double in value. And you can learn about those 7 signs that your house will double in value in this video. But before you nip off and watch that one, we've still got to count down the last 3 signs that your property won't make you money. And make sure you stick around for number 1, because I think it's one you might disagree with. But the third sign that your property won't make money is the Gunna property. So sometimes property investors buy a house thinking about what they could do to it in the future. And they'll say things like, I'm gonna subdivide it, I'm gonna develop it, I'm gonna knock it down, and I'm gonna build townhouses. And their investment plans are all based on what they're gonna do in the future. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the ambition, but there's sometimes a big difference between what you might plan to do and what you actually end up doing. I mean, about 6 years ago, I was talking to an investor and they had a house and they also had bought a piece of bare land. They'd had it for a couple of years. And they bought that piece of land because it had potential. And in her case, she wanted to build a house on it, but for years she didn't have the money to do it. Now, the mortgage felt like a noose around her neck. And the truth is that that potential doesn't mean anything if you either don't or can't follow through on that. Now, in the end, she sold the land for basically what she bought it for, but she's still out of pocket because she's been paying interest to the bank for the last 4 years without getting any rental income. And I just think that you can't buy a property based on some vague plans about what you might do to it in the future. Either have the concrete plans or buy that property based on whether you like it at today's numbers. Don't store your property portfolio chasing a project that you're never actually gonna do. But that's nothing compared to number 2 on our list. Now, have you ever driven down a street and you see an old house where the paint looks bad, it's a bit worse for wear, and you think, wow, someone should buy that, and if you did it up, I bet you that would make tons of money. And all you have to do is buy it, do it up, sell it on. Surely you're gonna get it for cheap because it's run down and you'll be able to sell it for a really good price. Well, often the first-time flippers who buy those sorts of properties regret it, and they don't end up making as much as they think. The flippers who make a lot of money actually tend to buy properties with really good bones, and then they just do the cosmetic stuff. The carpets, the painting, the basic bathroom, the basic kitchen reno. Replacing roofs, the structural stuff, that's the kind of thing that costs a lot of money, but buyers don't really value that as much because they either can't see it or they expect to buy a property with a functioning roof. It also takes a lot of time to get all that heavy stuff fixed. Meanwhile, you're paying a mortgage that's eating into your profit. So skip the properties that look like they belong on the set of an Indiana Jones movie. Just stick to the cosmetic renos that you can turn around quickly and get back on the market. But the number one most common sign that your property won't make money is if it's what I call a Porsche property. Now, these are the properties that you might love, but they're really nicer than a rental needs to be. You see, Porsche properties are the sorts of ones that you'd love to live in, but because of that, they're more expensive and have a lower rental yield. Now, you might think, but if I buy something really nice, it'll attract high-end tenants, they'll definitely pay more in rent. But people who can afford a really high rent can usually also afford to buy their own house. So often there aren't that many tenants at the top end of the market who want those really premium properties. So the more and more expensive your house is, the less and less extra rent it starts to get. And I'll give you an example of this. I was once talking to a doctor. Now, this guy had oodles of money and he was looking to buy an investment property. Now, during that process, he flew down on holiday to Wanaka and he fell in love with the place. He ended up spending $1.5 million on a house as an investment down there. Now, this guy, he's smart. But in this case, he did have more money than sense, because while Wanaka is one of the best areas and most beautiful areas in the country, it is also one of the lowest yielding areas. So people pay a lot of money to buy holiday houses there. And because of that, that pushes up house prices without driving up rents. So the yield tends to be low. So even if you can afford an expensive property, it's generally better to buy something more mid-market. Porsche properties, great to live in. But it's the Toyotas that make good investments. And if you want help finding the right properties, click the link in the description to book a free portfolio planning session with my team at Opus Partners. Our financial advisors will help you avoid these common traps, run your numbers properly, and find investment-grade properties to help build your wealth. So now you know the 7 warning signs to look out for to make sure your property makes money, but that is only half the equation. You don't just need to avoid bad properties, you also want to look for properties that actively grow your wealth. So check out this next video to see how to spot the 7 signs that your next property will double in value faster.